Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm Oz. Jack and Lady are still in Lake Jackson because COVID, quarantine, lockdown, socially distanced New Year's Eve. Again, I'm doing this for my little shitty apartment kitchen, and hopefully this will be out on New Year's Eve, so you can do this on New Year's Day. Traditionally, you want your black-eyed peas, cabbage, and cornbread on New Year's Day. So some of this requires overnight soaking, the black-eyed pea stuff, like regular beans. So we're going to have to do this one earlier, so pay attention to that. Before we get started, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Do all the YouTube-y stuff, man. You know how it works. Ring the little bell and whichever corner it's in, so you get notifications when we upload these on Tuesdays and Fridays. And it's the new year, man. Let's just get into it. Alright, so this is three different things here, so we're going to break this down. For your black-eyed peas, you're going to need half an onion and some black-eyed peas. One of these small, I think it's like half a pound bag here. And I saved this from Thanksgiving. It's pork bones that I did for the glazed ham. I had these in the freezer, that's why they're white. Still icicles on them. Don't have to have those, you can get a ham hock or a bone. Now for your cornbread, I just got a cornbread mix. Instead of milk, I'm using whipping cream and an egg. We'll get to why later. Then your big thing is your cabbage. You're going to need a head of cabbage, some butter, 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, some garlic to taste, so I'm using like 8, single shallot because I had one left over from our beef Wellington. And then you're going to need some ginger and sesame seeds, about 2 teaspoons of those each, and then pepper to flavor, and salt. I'm using seasoned salt because it's Texas, but you can use any kind of salt. So let's do the first thing. The first thing is you're going to need to soak these raw black-eyed peas. They're going to be super hard. So just like any other beans, you want to sort through them, make sure there's no rocks or anything in them, and then put some water in it. So you get them nice and washed down, get all your rocks out of them. I've never found rocks, but I've heard horror stories. I always look, but make sure. Now you want water just to cover the top of them. Okay, just get your nice big bowl that you can leave overnight. Hopefully have a lid for. Just put it over the top. Those will start absorbing the water. If they start pushing through the top of it, just go ahead and add some more to it. I just always let these sit overnight. You can put them in the fridge and they're fine. But just at the bare minimum, you want to let them soak for 4 hours, but I wouldn't suggest it. Generally overnight, 8 to 10 hours. So these have been set. I already rinsed them because they were funky. You couldn't see what's going on. So go ahead and rinse these again. Now, while those are sitting, go ahead and get your onion. Go ahead and cut the root end off if you have a root end, and then pull this really hard onion skin from the outside. I generally don't show you that I'm washing the onion because we pull the skin off. So if it is dirty, go ahead and wash it. That way you don't accidentally contaminate your cutting board or any of that kind of stuff. So I cut it in half once, down. I guess this is a chop. You don't want giant pieces of onion. This is all going into your black-eyed peas. You don't want it to overpower it. So that's why I'm only using half an onion, where, me, I'm a fan of the onion. So go ahead and cut these down. I just started just chopping at it randomly. Lucky I didn't take my finger off. It's new year, new finger. I don't want to lose it. So once you get it cut down to the sizes that you're happy with, move it to one side. If you've got a food processor, you can run it through that. Now, you're going to need a crock pot, slow cooker. Hopefully we mentioned that in the title. I'll have to make a note. So once you get that done, go ahead and get your ham bone, ham hock, or salt pork, whatever you want to put in the bottom of it. Throw in your onions. Throw those on the bottom. Mostly because they'll float, and I want them to fight. Then throw your green, black-eyed peas. Why do I want to call them green beans? The black-eyed peas. Now, you want to put water in them just to cover. It took me 4 cups, I believe, and there was a little bit still in the bowl with the black-eyed peas. Don't want to do it too much, but you want to make sure it covers by about 1 inch, or that first joint on your middle finger. Now, if you're going to do it on the low setting, it's going to take 6 to 8 hours to cook. You put it on the high, it's going to be about 4 hours. Okay, so go ahead and put your lid on. Whoop, where's my lid? There we go. And let that cook. So after 4 hours, this is what it's going to look like. The whole house is going to smell like this. Sorry for the steam. I didn't realize it was steaming up my camera as I did this. Let you know that you can see that the black-eyed peas are squishy and they're kind of cracked from the heat. So those are done. Set them to the side. Now it's time to get your cabbage started. Now go ahead. You're going to have to wash it and then pull off all these gross edges. This one didn't have too many, so we're going to wash it and come back to it. Now you got your shallots and your garlic here too. Get you a nice sharp knife and cut it in half along the root. So you want to be able to pull this heart out. It's hard to see. That's really white. I apologize. But it's where the root grows in from the bottom. So just go ahead and cut it into a knife, cut a triangle in it, pull that part out. Don't need that. It's too hard, too tough to eat. So go ahead and you can do this. Now, I've been staying at home too long, so I do my Temple of Doom, Kalimar, and pull those out just because I can. Didn't get that one deep enough, so I just kind of wedged a little bit more of it. Get as much of that as you can. When it gets to just leaves, you're good. So this is, it depends on what size you want to do this. We're going to be sauteing these. So I cut it once along the root side here, and I thought that was going to be too long, so I just did it one right down the middle. Well, you have good sized pieces of cabbage, but you don't have it where you're having to like stuff a full leaf of cabbage into your face. So go ahead and do both sides like that. Sorry to cut that out, but the video was really long already. Your shallot, again, if you already skinned it, you don't need to wash it, but wash it in case it's dirty. Go ahead and cut it in half, and then cut this down. Again, you're just trying to make small pieces. This is going to be sauteed with the rest of it. So cut it down one way and then spin it the other way. You can just randomly hack it. Again, if you have a food processor, which I heard is a thing that'll chop stuff down really small. I've never had one. It was about a food processor with somebody who, you know, served papers to fruit and vegetable that were being sued. Get it, process server? Never mind. I'm funny. Leave me alone. So you got your garlic. Again, I think the original recipe called for 2 or 3. I'm doing like 8 because my ancestors just whispered to me as I was pulling off the pieces of garlic from the bulb that's how many I needed. So just cut these down to as small pieces as possible, excuse me, and cut these down, pull them to the side. Now, I like big pieces of garlic. If you want to go smaller, you can. Food processor will usually have that. So I got my big skillet over here. I'm going to put it to medium high. You want it relatively warm, but you don't want it like scalding hot, right? 4 tablespoons of butter. Remember, that'll show you on the side of the wrapper exactly how many tablespoons you're doing. So it's half a stick is what that is. And then get your olive oil, and you want to do about 2 tablespoons, roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect, but go ahead and let that heat up. Once that's nice and bubbly, go ahead and throw in your garlic and your shallot first. You're going to give them about 2 to 3 minutes to cook first. All right, I mean, it's just the aroma of this stuff hitting you. It's going to smell outstanding. You're going to absolutely love it, and you'll hate it once the cabbage hits there. Or that's probably just me. I'm just not a fan of the smell of garlic. Now, you can see in here where some of the pieces were a little too big after I cut them, so you can just kind of pull them apart with that spoon. So these have been in here for 2-3 minutes. You can kind of see them in there. Then take your cabbage and break it down in there. You don't want to just throw in the big chunks. Sometimes it doesn't cook part of it. Wait, so when you throw it in, just break it down into the long, skinny pieces there. And just put the whole thing of cabbage, especially if you have a big skillet like this. I fit the whole thing in here. 1 or 2 pieces try to escape. You might be able to see them on film later. But again, make sure to break down those big pieces. And just keep stirring. Now, when you're sauteing these, like you do a nice wooden spoon or something. And cover it until it's get nice and oil all over. Now add your ginger. You're going to add about a teaspoon of that. And then the same thing on your sesame seeds. Again, this is to flavor. So if you want more ginger flavor, go ahead and add more. I'm pretty sure I will, but they turned out really well with this ginger and sesame seed taste. So now it's in there. Whoops, see, there was a piece that escaped. I'll find that in a minute. So go ahead and just stir it. While you're sauteing, you don't want it to sit too long on one side. So you're just going to keep stirring it. Get that wooden spoon or that rubber spatula. You don't want a metal one on your metal pans. Go ahead and spin them. Now, after 4 or 5 minutes, you'll notice that your greens are starting to wilt, but these big white pieces that were closer to the heart are still very firm, very hard. So go ahead and keep cooking until those green ones start to wilt, or the white ones start to wilt down like that. And then after you've got it close to finish, where they're just starting to wilt, go ahead and add your salt and pepper to taste. I added a lot, mostly because the goal of my cabbage is to not taste like cabbage. So you can add regular sea salt. You can get some fancy Himalayan pink salt if you want to try some of that. Or if you're from around here, you can use seasoned salt. It's got a little more spice to it. It's more of a Texas thing, I guess. So go ahead and sprinkle that stuff in there and then stir it. Get it nice and covered with all of that. It's going to smell outstanding, even if it does smell like cabbage. I know I'm talking bad about it, but a lot of people love this. I'm not a fan of just the boiling the cabbage. I think, A, you lose a lot of the nutrients, and B, I'm not a fan of the texture when it's boiled. So when you saute it like this, you get it nice and firm, still got the flavor, still got the texture, but it's cooked, and it's very flavorful and aromatic, being all fancy here. So once you get it nice and wilted on your whites and your greens, go ahead and pull that off the fire too. Now, set your stove. Beep, 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 beep. Make all these things. You're going to set it for 425. You're going to let that preheat while you're waiting on the rest of this stuff. Get you a nice mixing bowl. Put in your cornbread mix. Most of the directions are on this one, so I'm just reading it. Now, it did call for 2/3 a cup
of milk and 1 egg. So go ahead and throw in your egg first. Now the 2/3 milk, the milk that I had bought for this before had turned. So I looked what I had. I had some heavy whipping cream, and I read online somewhere that this made it a different texture than regular cornbread, made it a little more dense, which is fine, but I absolutely didn't feel a difference in my cornbread when it came out. So go ahead and put it in there. Get you a nice spatula if you need one. We have a link down the doobly-doo to our merch site where we have some spatulas like that. It's got our logos and stuff on it. Shameless plug, shameless plug. So mix this around, whisk it as best you can. Make sure to keep scraping it off the edges and turn it in until it's one texture all the way through. Now, because we use cream instead of milk, this is going to be really thick. Milk is still going to be thick, but it's not going to be much. Now, you can use a muffin tin or an 8x8 thing, but I'm going to use a muffin tin. Now, you can use butter that I had a little bit left over, or just cheat with some cooking spray. I know I didn't have it in the instructions, so I apologize, but I just use the butter if you need to. So get it nice and greased. Now, you want to put this stuff in each one of these as best you can. Like it's really thick, so you can't pour this. You kind of have to scrape it in and then kind of push it down. You want to do it about half full. Don't do it too much. If you do it too high, it'll cook over and you're going to have some weird shapes and stuff. So go ahead and push it in there. And this did for 8 cornbread muffins is what I'm making. Go ahead and put it in there. Cook it for 8 to 12 minutes. Keep an eye on it so it's a nice golden brown color here. These are gorgeous. These turned out really well. I'm really impressed by these. And there you have it, man. You have your meal. So this cost, I think all total, this was less than $10 together. I'll have to look at our budget, but that was what we had a budget for. That's how we shopped for it. So the black-eyed peas, your sauteed, what I want to say, it's cabbage, not garbage. I keep wanting to say garbage. And then your cornbread. Now, we don't do corned beef hash or any of that kind of stuff, but this is outstanding, man. This is enough to feed me for one meal so far, and then at least enough for at least 2 or a couple of small children. So try this, let us know, man. This is outstanding. It's good luck. In the year that we've had this year, we need all the luck and the money we need for next year. So try this New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Thank you very much.
And there you have it, guys. The proverbial good luck and wish for money food for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, depending on which way your family observes the superstition. Ours is New Year's Day, I believe. But this takes a while, especially those beans. Be sure to get those started way beforehand. It takes like 5 hours minimum to get those cooked. That's not including the overnight soak, so careful. If y'all do it differently, y'all want to see us do it differently, let us know. Put it down in the comments. Maybe we'll revisit this. Maybe we'll come back to it, man. I want to try this again. We do have another New Year's. I still have cornbread stuck to my glasses. We still have a new year coming up, or scheduled next year, so hopefully we can try this again. If not, you can find us on social media and let us know if the world's going to end. You can find us at Facebook, Pinterest, Patreon. Thank you again to our patrons. You can find us at all 3 of those at Living Between Paychecks Kitchen. You can also find us on Instagram at Living Between, man. And as always, you can find us on YouTube Tuesdays and Fridays. Try to do 11 o'clock. So we'll see y'all then. Happy New Year from me, Jack, Letty, and everybody else. Thank you again for viewing, and we'll see you next time.